Have you ever had something happen to you, but then when you tell somebody about it, just nobody believes it? I got a funny story about that. Happened when I was a kid. I'll tell you the story right after the intro. Okay, so this story happened. I had to be about 12, 13 years old. On my street, I had a couple of guys on my street that they used to see all the time. You know how you have the neighborhood guys, the people you see all the time whenever you outside playing or whatever like that. Well, I want to say down at the end of my block was a guy, he was an older guy. He was probably like 16, 17 years old. And he had these two dogs, really big dogs, like German Shepherds, and he was so proud of those dogs. Every time you saw him, he was talking about how well trained his dogs were, how fast they were, how vicious they were, and all of this kind of stuff. He's just really proud of those dogs. And he had everybody in the neighborhood was pretty much scared of those dogs, because they looked mean. They was huge German Shepherds. Whenever you walk by his house and you see them in the fence, they'll be barking and growling and stuff, and everybody was always scared of the dogs. And then he would come out and he had complete control of them. He'd snap his finger, they'll stop and everything. So he kind of bragged about those dogs all the time, and everybody in the neighborhood knew about those dogs, So one day, me and my brother, we went somewhere, during the day. I think we walked to the store or something, and my brother's, younger than me. So we walked to the store or something like that, and we walked past his house, and his dogs was barking. His dogs come running out from the back and barking and all of that kind of stuff. And they do it all the time. Every time you walk past his house, they run out and bark. Sometimes if you don't know they're coming, they can startle you or whatever. But we knew the dogs was coming this time, so we walking past the house. We see the dogs running from the back of the house, and they come up to the fence, and they're barking and all of this kind of stuff. And then when we get to almost towards the end of where his yard goes to the next neighbor yard where the fence ends, both of those dogs just jumped and they hopped over the fence. They just, jumped up and hopped over the fence, and I couldn't believe it. I turned around, 12-year-old me, turn around, look and see those huge dogs, huge vicious dogs hopping over that fence. It felt like my heart stopped. I want to take this time here to ask you to make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the like button and the subscribe button below if you like to hear more content about story-related topics. And make sure you click the bell also so you get notified when new videos are posted. So I didn't know what else to do. Me and my brother just ran. So the dog's chasing us and we run down the street, and we get, like I said, he was at the end of the block, and the house where we lived in was in the middle of the block. So we had to run past like about 7 or 8 houses before we got to our house. And we're running down the street, and those dogs, they're just chasing us and barking and all of this kind of stuff. And one of the dogs even caught up to my brother and kind of like tried to bite at his foot, and his shoe came off and rolled across the ground. But we made it to the house. We got in the house, and we went inside. And when we went inside, we look out the front door at the dogs, and they're just standing in the front door, and they just looking at us. They're not barking or anything anymore. They're just standing there looking at us. So we watched them for a little while, but we didn't care by that point. We was in the house. We was like, we'll just wait for them to go away, and we'll go out and get your shoe and everything. So we go in the house, and we're in there for a little while, for some hours and stuff like that. And then later on, we decided to go back outside, and we looked, and of course, it was like hours later, and the dogs were gone and everything. So we go outside, and his shoe is still out there. So we go outside, we walk out there, and we get his shoe, and we're still scared, even though it happened hours ago, we're still scared and shaking and stuff. And we're looking around trying to see where the dogs are and everything. We don't see the dogs anymore, dogs are nowhere to be found. So then I want to say about a day or so later, we're outside playing with our friends and stuff, and we happen to see him. He come riding up, the guy with the dogs, he come riding up on his bike, he riding up, and he's stopping to see what we're doing, and like he was older than all of us. So you know how older kids like to come and see what the younger kids are doing. So he's coming over there, showing off his bike. He had a nice bicycle. So he coming over there showing off his bike. Everybody's like, can I ride it and everything? So then we tell him about the situation with the dogs. We was like, yeah, we was walking past your house, and both your dogs jumped the fence and they chased us, And then the first thing he said was, did one of y'all get bit? And we was like, no. He was like, well, how'd y'all get away? It was like, well, we ran down the street, they chased us, and we got in the house. So he bit at my brother's shoe and took his shoe off. And he was like, we got it back now, but he took his shoe off, but no, none of us got bit. And then right when we said none of us got bit, he started laughing. We thought he was laughing at the situation because it was, after the fact, it was funny, We thought he was laughing at that, but no, he was laughing because he thought we made the story up. And we was like, no, we didn't make it up. He was like, well, who saw it? He was like, nobody saw it. It was just us two out there. But he didn't believe it, He was lying. He was saying if my dogs would have jumped the fence, they would have caught y'all. There's no way you would have got away, you know. But it did happen, you know, and I remember being scared to death when it happened, you know. But of course, he didn't believe it, and he doubled down on it. And before you knew it, everybody out there was thinking that me and my brother was lying about the situation, you know. And it was just messed up. It's messed up to be in a situation where something happened, especially something like that, where it scares you. You know, you're scared for hours after it happened, and then when you do tell somebody, nobody believes you. But that's what happened. That's one of those situations where, you know, you have something happen to you and nobody believes you, and there's nothing you can do to make somebody believe you in a situation like that. But it did happen. And if you're watching this video right now and you remember that story and those were your dogs, it did happen. If you like this story, go ahead and click like and click subscribe. And if you got a story like that, go ahead and tell me about your story in the comments below. And I'm glad you watched this video, and I'll see you next time. You made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. While you're here, why don't you check out that video right there, or maybe that one right there. And you know, while you're at it, go ahead and click my image in the middle there and subscribe to this channel.